Hi, I'm Thea Lieberman. I have ADHD and I'm a mum of 5 ADHD children. Now it's really interesting because their ADHD is manifest in each child in different ways. In fact, in one of my children I nearly missed it. Thank God we caught it in time and they're getting treatment now. Now if your child has ADHD, if you have ADHD, there may be other comorbid conditions going on together with the ADHD. But ADHD rarely, hardly ever, seldom, I would say never, occurs alone. So one of the conditions that are very common with ADHD is auditory processing disorder. This is when the sound enters your ear and then it goes to your brain to be processed. Somewhere along the line things get a little bit twisted up and tangled. So common signs of auditory processing disorder are perhaps one hears the middle part of a sentence but not the first part and the last part. Or one hears the first part and the last part and the middle is a bit garbled. One often misunderstands what one has heard. Well, we all do, but this is like too many times, okay? This is very common, this is very frequent and it impacts on a person's productivity and relationships and emotions. Perhaps one finds it difficult to follow a conversation. All these may be signs that your child may have an auditory processing disorder. You know, I never realized that I have an auditory processing disorder until a couple of years ago. And then I thought I was going deaf because I used to work in my kitchen and then someone used to come in, a child, my husband, and they would start talking to me. And if I was busy doing my work and I wasn't looking at them, always, I didn't hear the first 1, maximum 2 seconds of what they were saying. I heard the sound, I definitely heard the sound, but not the words. And I started to think, they're all mumbling, what's going on here? And I would start to get snappy, saying, stop mumbling, say that clearly. And then after a while I realized, oh, you know, I'm actually hearing sounds, but not words, so they're not mumbling. Oh, maybe I'm going deaf? Well, when I went for my ADHD assessment, I asked the ADHD nurse, and she says, no, you're not going deaf. You have probably slight, or whatever it is, auditory processing disorder. And that was a huge relief for me, because that made me realize that, you know what, I'm not crazy. I'm not going mad. I just have to stop what I'm doing, look at the person when they start to speak, and I will hear them. I won't miss that first 2 seconds of what they're saying. So why am I saying all this? Well, if your child has ADHD, they likely have an auditory processing disorder. So you need to adapt the way that you're speaking to your child. Let me give you an example that happened last week. You know how the morning rush happens, and my son, who's age 15, had to leave the house to go to school. And I can't remember the details, but you see, there was something that I had to tell him, and his mind was already out the house. He was going out the house, he was thinking about going out already, and he was in the hall, front door was open, and I was in the kitchen. And I asked him, do you mind to quickly go out to the car and fetch my walking boots that are in the boot of the car? And he did that for me. And he comes back into the house, and guess what he's brought for me? I had boots in the car as well. He brought me my boots, not the walking shoes. And since it was a stressful time, I got a bit annoyed with him. I said, oh, come on, like, you know. And then I stopped and I said, you know what, I'm sorry. Because he was getting upset as well. I said, you know what, I'm sorry. My request was too detailed. And we just moved on. But I learned from that. First of all, no guilt. Because us mums are notorious for feeling guilty when we've done something that was not up to our high level of expectations. And we are notorious for feeling guilty when we don't need to feel guilty. And that guilt stops you from moving on. It's terrible. So first of all, no guilt. Second of all, laugh, okay? I laughed at myself at this humorous incident, okay? Reframed it. Third of all, I became more aware that I have to adapt even more focusedly. Oh, that's bad English. I have to focus more on adapting the way that I speak to my son, and never ever try my best not to give him an instruction when he's halfway out the door and I am in the kitchen and we can't really see each other, okay? Because something is going to get lost somewhere along the line. So I need to look at him in the face, short, sharp direction, and as little waffle as possible. It takes time, you know, but you can actually do this. Change the environment for the child. You have to change the way you speak to your ADHD child to help them, to set them up for success.